Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another training session on the mat. Bulvinak Chope, how are you doing
Goedemiddag,
today?
John. I'm doing good. How are you?
That's, I'm good. I'm good. That's great. Yes, we are coming live from the Trans-Pacific Union Mission office here in Suva, and it's a great day today. Looking outside, and we thank the Lord for that. Chope, tell us, what do you do here at the Trans-Pacific Union?
Sure. Thank you. Well, first of all, my name is Jope Laweloa. I've been working for the church, especially here in TPM, for the last 10 years or so. And at the moment, I'm the current IT manager and also a system administrator for Trans-Pacific Union.
That's great. Yes, thank you, Chope. And I'm sure the various missions around the Pacific know you well, especially when you're troubleshooting and fixing laptops and problems that address IT issues around the missions. And we are grateful for your support. And today, for those who are watching, Chope will be taking us on a little IT training, and we're happy to have Chope to give us a bit of tips on a few applications, and also maybe run through some specific specs that you may need when you're looking or when you're buying a laptop or a computer. And these technologies change every now and then. New things are coming on the market, and it's always good to keep yourself updated, especially if you're using these applications or on social media, or even um, looking when you're buying a computer. It's always good to keep up to date with what is the latest out there. And so we have Chope today who will be running the training. And without further ado, Chope, I'll give you the time now. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you for that intro. The purpose of this training is to basically try and empower our church workers, especially. Basically, the target audience are the pastors, church ministers, even office workers that in various offices throughout our union, and also teachers. And also, it might help out with the local churches, elders, even pathfinders that wants to look into the technology that we use today. And the training that I'm mostly focusing on today will be on the application Zoom,
Okay.
but more on the technical side of Zoom that most people tend to neglect when they're running Zoom meetings or when they are out there getting ready to run a meeting or maybe an evangelism meeting for their groups or for their missions. So I will put it.
Great.
Yep. So
I'll
we shall
share
just
screen.
start straight
Yep.
away. Yep. Okay. So I've done a couple of Zoom training over the last few weeks, and to tell you the truth, it's one of those applications that has so many features, that has so many advantages that most people does not know about. And I guess the training today, it's not a lengthy one. It's a bit short compared to other various training that you might have come across. But the three main things that I want to focus on is the system requirements, which is basically the hardware side of Zoom, your Zoom account and profile, especially your online based account that you normally use. Most of us just log directly into the application and basically go straight into Zoom. But I just want to look into the Zoom account or profile that is online. And the last bit is the Zoom live stream via Facebook. And I hope these three areas that I'll be covering with us this afternoon will help each one of us, especially with church workers and especially pastors. As I've seen in the last few weeks and the last few days, we have so many people using Zoom for various things, concerts, live streaming of meetings and church services. I hope this will help them in the using of Zoom in the various capacity. Okay, let's have a look at the Zoom system requirements that it's actually required by Zoom to effectively use it. As most of you are well aware of, in order to use Zoom, you need a internet connection, a very good one, that is. So what Zoom has recommended is to use a broadband, a wired or wireless connection. And without internet, your Zoom will not work at all. And one other thing, two other things that you might need is microphone and speakers. Of course, for any meetings, you need to listen and also speak as well. So you can either use the built-in microphones and speakers that comes with your devices, a laptop, or your mobile devices. Or you can use a USB plug-in, and some might even want to use the wireless devices for speakers and microphones. And of course, you need a web cam or camera to enable you to show your face during the Zoom meetings. There are various cameras that you can use. There are built-in ones that comes with your devices or your laptops, and you can also use the USB webcams. And of course, you can also use HD camcorders, but it needs a video capture in order for that to work. And there are other things like virtual camera. And for those of you using Mac OS, Zoom Client 5.1 and above is required to make use of cameras. Just going on from there, supported devices, any device that runs iOS, basically any Apple devices, and Android devices as well. It is best that you make sure that your device is up to date, and make sure that it's also up to date and the applications are up to date as well for the Zoom to actually run perfectly. And you have BlackBerry devices for those who are still using it, and you have Surface Pro that's running Windows 8 and above. There are a few other notes that's provided by Zoom. If you're using tablets that uses PC, Windows, just make sure that they're running Home or Pro version, but the S mode of Windows will not be supported on Zoom. And the other part of what you might need browsers. Okay, Zoom supports Internet Explorer 11 and above, or Internet Edge, or Microsoft Edge 12 and above, Firefox version 27 and above, and Chrome version 30 and above. And the same thing applies to Mac OS, which is Apple devices, Safari 7 and above version, Firefox 27 and above, and Chrome 30 and above. Now, when it comes to computers, this is one question that most people ask me. What kind of computer should I buy in order to run an effective Zoom meeting or Zoom or services on Zoom? Zoom actually provided a minimum requirements for your hardware. So for your processor, which is basically the CPU, the minimum is a single core. Okay, single core, think of single core as just the chip that's running your PC, or basically the brain of your PC, which is a bit slow, but that is the minimum requirement. But the recommended requirement that Zoom recommends is either you use a dual core or one of the quad cores, which is i3, i5, i7, or one of the AMD equivalent, okay, which is Ryzen and such. That is the processor. And the RAM, Zoom does not provide what is the minimum, but from my own suggestion, from what I've seen, it is best to get something around 4 GB, or even better, 8 GB and above. There's a reason for this, because Zoom is an application that also consumes a lot of RAM if you have other things running on your computer. So something that you might need to be aware of. So when you're out there buying computers, so what I've described here so far, if I have to categorize it, it's basically any computer that's less than 5 years old, okay, that can effectively run Zoom, looking at the specs that's provided by Zoom. Now, just notes written there is dual and single core laptops have reduced frame rate, which is basically the performance of your Zoom, and for optimum screen sharing, you need a quad core or higher, which is basically i3, i5, and i7 quad core. So this will allow you to effectively share your screen or run things on Zoom seamlessly without any laggings that you might experience. Okay, so that is the minimum requirement of your hardware when you want to run a Zoom meeting. Yeah, just back to the laptop. Look at your budget. Look at what exactly is your need. Don't go out there and get a $2,000, $3,000 laptop that is way overkill than what you actually need it for. So look at the requirements that you need the laptop for, whether it is basically for typing or Zoom or web browsing, and look at what your budget is. So do not get something that is way too fast or something that is way too slow. Try and stick somewhere in the middle. And one important thing is bandwidth. Bandwidth is basically your internet speed or your network speed that is provided by your internet provider. Like I've said before, for Zoom, you need a stable, fast connection or broadband, as most people will know. You'll see it's mentioned here 3G, but we recommend you get 4G or above to make sure that the connection is stable between you and the Zoom server. And just looking at the requirements here for video calling for higher quality, it's 600 kbps, which is kilobits per second for upload and download speed. For higher definition videos or cameras, you will need around 1.2 megabits per second. And also for higher definition 1080p, which really something that most of us might not be able to use, but it requires a 3.8 megabits per second for upload and 3 megabits per second for download. That is minimum. If your internet speed is a bit higher than that, you can make use of it. Okay, and the same thing goes with video calling. And for high quality, you need 1 megabits per second, and for videos, well, this is for group calling, and for videos 2.6, and even higher definition you get 3.8. Okay, and for gallery viewing, 2.0 megabits per second or 4 megabits per second if you have more than 40 plus participants. Now you might be asking, how do I know what is my internet speed? It's very simple. You can either, if you're using a device, a mobile phone or tablet, you can just download an app that measures your bandwidth speed, or you can go to a special website called speedtest.net. And once you're there, just click on the go button and it will give you your download and upload speed at that moment. Okay. At the moment that I took this, it was 3.98 megabits per second for my download speed, and my upload speed is 4.33 megabits per second. Okay, the difference between download is the content you're pulling from the server towards your devices, and the upload is the content you are pushing towards the server via Zoom. So basically, that's basically the difference that the difference between the two, download and upload. So when you're using Zoom, you're basically downloading people's videos or presentation that you're viewing. And if for upload, you're basically uploading yourself, your video, your audio, your microphone towards the Zoom server. So that's something people tend to overlook when they're running Zoom meetings. Now continue on with bandwidth requirements. For screen sharing only, if you're just doing screen sharing, no video, it can consume about 50 kbps. Okay. Now the difference between kbps and mbps, there's 1000 kbps in 1 mbps. It's just to simplify things down. And for screen sharing with video thumbnail, the speed is there, so minimum around 50 to 150 kbps. But if you're using audio VoIP, calling into Zoom meetings, that's the speed you need. Many of us have this speed in Fiji, especially. We have a bit faster internet compared to other island nations, so that shouldn't be a problem. When you're coming down to high definition videos, it demands a lot of bandwidth. So you're running from 1.2 to 2, even 3 Mbps download and upload for your Zoom meeting. And if you can read there, it says for screen sharing only, it's just basically the same from what I've mentioned earlier. Okay, so that's basically that is basically what I want to share on the system requirements from Zoom. And one other thing that people, or most of us, tend to overlook is what is our actual need when we are running a Zoom meeting. Now, Zoom is just like an application. It consumes a lot of CPU, a lot of RAM, and also it consumes bandwidth. So just make sure when you're running a Zoom meeting, just turn off everything else that you do not need while you are hosting, especially when you're hosting. So that basically covers the system requirements. And all the things that I've shown to you in this last few slides comes directly from the Zoom website. Now, let me just jump straight on to the next one, if that's all right, John. I'll jump straight onto the
Yep, go ahead.
Zoom profile and Zoom account. Yes, I'll jump straight into the Zoom profile and Zoom account. And this is one particular area that we really ignore, or most people tend to ignore, especially if you're a host. This is one place that you love to pay a visit. You should be paying a visit every now and then, because this is where all your settings for your account is, and also for your meetings. And if it's looking at my screen here, I've logged into one of our Zoom accounts, and the first thing you should do when you get a Zoom account, especially a licensed one, make sure your name is set correctly. Okay, put in your full name. That's even better. Okay, put in your name and other details that you think that is relevant. And one other bit uh, that is important is the region or the time zone. The reason why I said it's important, because this will affect your schedules. So whatever schedules you're posting, it will be using whatever time zone that's displayed on your account. So make sure that this particular time zone is correct, whether you're in Fiji or in Samoa, Tonga, or Vanuatu, Solomons. Make sure you select the correct time zone so that it can be reflect correctly into your schedule when you're scheduling meetings. And there are a few other things under that you might need to look into. I do urge those with Zoom accounts, or people, or those with license accounts, to look through their online Zoom account profile and make sure that everything is set correctly. And going on to the next tab, we have meetings. In meetings, you have schedules. That's upcoming, that's previous, and also personal rooms. So these are the ones, like if you have meetings that happens, previous meetings, and you just want to review it, you can go here. But if you have upcoming meetings, you can also see it here, and also get or you can send it as an invite to those who you want to attend. Okay, we're not going to cover webinars. We'll jump straight on to a recording. Now, when you're doing recording, there are two places you can store your records, either on the cloud or locally on the PC, or on whatever PC that you're using. As a rule of thumb, if you're hosting a Zoom meeting, host it from a laptop. Do not host it from a tablet. Do not host it from a mobile phone, because it's very limited in terms of screen size and also what you will be able to see on your screen. So it's best always host a Zoom meeting or Zoom conference or whatever, Zoom, even the Zoom live stream. Do it from a laptop so that you can see everything that you're looking at. And you have local recording. So if you're not sure who recorded the meetings 2 days ago or last week, you can jump onto here and actually see who did the recordings. So over here, it will list all the recordings that were done and who actually recorded the meetings, right? And you can contact that person, and they can share that meeting with you. Now in settings, this is basically where the settings of your Zoom is. You can do this from your application, the Zoom app itself, or you can do it from here. On the Zoom app, it's not really described that well, but if you log into your Zoom online, you should be able to see all the different settings described clearly, right? So there are things about security, how to deal with the users as they come in, how to deal with meetings, and different rules that you need to set before a meeting starts. Okay, you have security, you have scheduled meetings, the different options that you have, whether the host has to come on with a video or participant has to join with their video on. Uh, those are the little settings that you might want to look into when you're starting a meeting. And then you have meeting basics, meeting advance, and a few other things. Now, the reason why I'm showing this or showing this to you is basically to raise an awareness that there are lots of things that can be done with Zoom rather than just running maybe a boring meeting that has very limited things on it. Right. So in settings as well, you have a recording tab. In the recording tab, that's where you can choose options, what you want to do with a record, whatever you meeting that you want to record. So there are few options here that you can look into. Make sure you read it, understand what it's saying before you actually take it or enable it. All right. So these are the settings for this particular account that I'm demoing from, and if there are lots of settings that you can look into and enable or disable. There are a few other things here, but I'm not going to touch on that. And just the last bit on your account profile, which is, oh yeah, that's not very important, but that's basically what I want to touch on, the Zoom online account or Zoom profile that most of you will be interested in. So I do urge that you look into your Zoom profile account online whenever you can and make changes to it where you see fit. Okay, let's jump straight on to the next one. I hope I'm not going too fast, but you can always rewatch this particular stream later on if you do not understand it, what I'm talking about. Okay, we'll just go back to our slideshow. Just give me a minute. Okay, well, the next bit is live stream, and live streaming is something that most are making really good use of. From what I can tell, I've seen a lot of live stream happening on Facebook, which is really good. Please continue to do so. This particular section of this training is basically meant for those who are still not sure on what to do, still thinking about doing live stream. I just want to quickly cover that in this last segment. So live streaming on Facebook. This is something that I would say misconception by some people. Whenever you do a Zoom meeting, the meeting is happening on a cloud server, which is basically Zoom's server, somewhere, maybe in the US. Okay, so the meeting is not happening on your laptop or on your device, it's happening on the server. So whenever you're having a Zoom meeting, everybody connects to that server, which you have initiated, which you have started, and the meeting happens in there. Okay? So this is the reason why I'm explaining this. It's quite important so that you understand when it comes to live streaming. So from there, whenever you want to do live stream, for example, to Facebook, Facebook and Zoom communicate with each other, initiate a connection. Once the connection is enabled, then the live stream continues. Okay, so the streaming is happening between the server, not between your device and Facebook. It's between the Zoom server and the Facebook server. And this is really good information because later on you'll see why this is important to understand. Right, just like running a live stream, you need to first log into Facebook. I'll be covering just Facebook in this segment. Of course, there's also YouTube, but I'll not be covering YouTube because it's a bit complicated for some. And also, Facebook has far more reach than YouTube. YouTube has a lot of things that you need to set up before you actually push out the live stream. So to actually do the live stream on Zoom, it's quite straightforward. For those of you who haven't tried it, this is only enabled on a licensed version of Zoom. Okay, it's not available on the free version. So if you want to do live stream, you have to get yourself a activated or licensed account. Okay, so straightforward. Click on live on Facebook, and once that's clicked, you will be required to continue as yourself, okay, provided that you've already logged onto Facebook before running the live stream. So once you click on continue as yourself, you will be displayed with a window asking you the details of the meeting. You can type in whatever title and whatever is the description. But when it comes to where to post it, there are three options. You will be either required to post it on your timeline, on a page, or on a group. Okay, the difference between these three, the timeline is your profile, the page is the Facebook page that you are in control of as an admin or editor, and a group is just basically a group that you join. You can have like 10 different types of groups. Okay, I'll just quickly go through the difference between the three. Okay, if you decide to share on your timeline, you'll be required to select whether to make it public or keep it to friends or just yourself. But if you decide to do it as a page, you will be asked to choose which of the page that you manage to share your live stream on. Okay, it will list it down for you, and you just have to select one, and it will push out the live stream through that. And if you decide to select or to share it to a group, it will list down all the groups that you're part of on Facebook, and then it will push out the live stream to that group. And also, it depends on how that group is set up. If it's a private group, you might have trouble on it. But if you are the admin of that group, it should not be a problem for you. Okay, that's just three different places that you can post your live stream on Facebook. Once you're ready, click on live, and everything will try and connect itself. So at this point, you will see that Zoom server is trying to initiate a connection with Facebook server. Okay, this is the connection between the two servers and not between your laptop or your device with Facebook. Okay, once that's done, all your participants will get this message. Now, this is an optional for your participant. They can decide to stay or they can leave. And if they decide to stay, they'll click on got it. And if they don't want to be recorded or be streamed on Facebook, they can have the option to leave the meeting. Okay, so just keep that in mind, just in case you're wondering where is so and so gone to. Maybe they have decided to leave the meeting before the streaming started. Okay, once everything is streaming, you will get this notification on the top left, live on Facebook, and that's basically how this Facebook streaming works. It's basically straightforward. You do it once, do it twice, it should be easy to get. And just if you want to end the meeting, just click on more and not meeting, sorry. If you want to end the live stream, click on more and click on stop live stream. And that is basically how live streaming works. Now, the benefits of streaming. This is something that hardly talk about, but the benefits of streaming, you can reach a wider or larger audience than your participant in the Zoom, your Zoom participants. So you have a larger audience that you can reach. And also, one of the benefits is your video gets archived on Facebook, and it can also enable you to go back, revisit it, view it, see what can be improved. And also your viewers or your friends can look it up if they miss the streaming. You get a real-time feedback from viewers. Okay, it's also suggested that you assign a co-host to look after Facebook comments and feedback. During the live stream, people might be commenting, posting up requests, or putting out their comments. So it's always good to assign somebody to look after the Facebook comments, the Facebook feedbacks. And the other bit is the live stream is a server-to-server connection. It has nothing to do with your device and the Facebook. So basically, what it's saying here, if you're the host and you initiated the live stream, you as a host can leave the meeting without ending the meeting. You can leave the meeting and the live stream will just continue. Okay, as long as the meeting doesn't end, the Facebook Live will continue because it's a connection between the two server and not between your device and Facebook. Okay, so that's the benefit of streaming on Facebook or streaming online. But the streaming itself have its limits. I think one of the first limit is that only the host with a license account can start the live stream or initiate the live stream. Okay, if you're not licensed, you will not be able to do live streaming via Facebook. Okay, Facebook live stream have a limit of 8 hours per stream. This is something we just found out recently and something to take note of if you're planning on running a really long streaming. So 8 hours per stream is the limit that Facebook has provided. So make sure when you're planning out your live stream that runs for more than 8 hours, make sure you have an interval that cuts off at the 8-hour mark so you can restart a new streaming straight after that. And one other thing, this is quite important, you cannot stream copyrighted images, videos, and music. You know, most of us love to share music, share videos, even photos on our presentation. But if it's live on Facebook, the Facebook algorithm can pick it up. Either it will delete that portion of the streaming, or it will mute it, or it will just gonna end the streaming altogether. So keep that in mind. If you are wanting to share music or videos from YouTube or from a DVD, just keep that in mind. Facebook algorithm will pick it up in a few minutes when it's streaming. Okay, so something that need to keep a lookout for. Any participants that doesn't have a camera or video is turned off, they will not show up on the live stream. Have you wondered sometimes, like when you watch a live stream of Zoom live stream, and you only see about 4 or 5 people's gallery displayed on the live stream? But then you think to yourself, I thought there were like 50 or 60 people attending. That's because the rest had their camera off. Okay? Only those that have their camera on will be shown on the live stream. So just keep that in mind. If you want people to see a larger audience as part of your meeting, make sure you tell them to turn on their cameras, because if they don't, they will not be shown on Facebook. And the second last bit, Zoom does not support the Facebook Live Producer. Okay? Facebook itself has its own live platform, Live Producer, so they are not really well integrated. So do not think to manage your Facebook Live or your Zoom Live through the Live Producer. So just try and ignore that bit. And the last part of the limit is processing time between the two servers, between Zoom and Facebook. It's 20 seconds, around 20 seconds. So whatever is happening right now, 20 seconds later, it's going to show up on the live stream. Okay, so keep that in mind. I don't think it's happening straight away. There's a 20-second buffer. This is to allow Facebook to process the data that's coming through, make sure there's no lag and everything runs smoothly without any problem. So that is just basically some of the limits, the major limits that you might encounter when you're using live stream on Zoom through Facebook. And I think that's basically the 3 areas that I wanted to cover. Apologies if it's really short, but that is basically what I want to cover in this segment. There are other trainings that's available, but probably we'll do that some other time. But these three areas which I see and I feel that's mostly neglected by people that's using Zoom, I just want to cover that with all of us this afternoon. Thank you, John.
Jope, thank you so much. I think, yeah, like you said, there's a lot that can be shared, but I am glad that you touched on the very important parts in regards to, even from which kind of laptop will be able to run a smooth Zoom session in terms of specs and the actual application itself, especially places that we don't hardly check, like the system settings, your own profile and things like that. Very good reminder. Thank you so much. And also in regards to live streaming, and I learned a few things there as well. And it's good to know that when you're going to live on Facebook, that you are all connected to the Zoom server that is on the cloud, or basically situated in a country close by, whether it's Australia or America, and they are also communicating to the Facebook server. So yeah, very important. And thank you so much for taking time to share with us. And we look forward to maybe a next time where you can share more about tips and tricks of IT and some new updates that may need to be shared. Is it okay if you can share just maybe your contact email address for some maybe that have questions that they can send?
Sure, I can give my details. For those that have questions regarding what I've just shared, you can contact me on itmantis@adventis.org.fg. Okay, I'll try my best to respond to all, but that is the email address that you
I'll
most
just try and
likely will
put it
get
here.
through
So
to
it's
me.
itmanager
Yep,
at adventis.org.fj.
yep, that's right.
Okay, so yeah, it's right there. And take a screenshot, or if you have any queries, especially for specs, what sort of computer that you want to buy, or laptop, Jope will be the best person to help you with recommending what's the best solution for you and what in regards to what you actually need. So thanks again, Jope, and I hope that those who are watching have been blessed, and also have some idea now in regards to the application of Zoom, live streaming, and also some specs about their laptops. Before you go, can I just offer a word of prayer so we can end the
Sure.
session? Heavenly Father, we thank you again for the opportunity that we have. These are all training and knowledge that you have blessed us with, that we may in turn bless others through the ministry that we may be doing online, through IT, and all these, Father, we ask that you bless. Thank you for Jope's life and his ministry here at the Trans-Pacific. May you bless him and the knowledge that he has in regards to servicing our IT department here, not only here, but the various islands in the Trans-Pacific Union as well. Thank you again. Dismiss us for this hour. This is our humble prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank
you,
you, everyone.
John.
Thanks, Jope. Bye for now.